Hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about The Boys for the first time on this channel, but definitely not the last. In this video, we will be analyzing the Season 3 finale and why I think it's brilliant. For those who are living under a rock, The Boys is an Amazon Prime show that is based off the graphic novels of the same name. The show has gotten well-deserved praise for not only being the best comic book adaptation since this one, but greatly improving the story compared to the comics. Season 1 was given high praise when it came out for its violence, action, mature satire and themes, and specifically the performances from Anthony Starr, who plays the character Homelander, who you will be getting a full-on character analysis on the channel very soon. Not too long after Season 1, Season 2 came out, and while Season 2 wasn't as critically acclaimed as the previous seasons, there was still a lot of great things about it, and the finale was fucking heat. Season 3 just recently finished up after a hiatus due to COVID, and it's of my opinion, and seemingly many others, that this is the best season of the show. It seems as if the time off allowed the writers, actors, and every other aspect of production to reach newer heights, and everyone was seemingly satisfied until the latest episode, where people are split on whether or not it was great or terrible. And I won't lie, it took me a little bit to figure out where I stood on the finale. But after some time and a lot of thought, not only do I find it to be a perfect finale, but I would say it's the best finale of the show so far, and I think I can convince you why. To understand why the finale works as well as it does, we have to understand what this season, and more importantly, what this show is about. As most of you know, the show is a take on if superheroes existed in the world we live in. A world that's very morally gray and more than often highly corrupt and corporate. The Boys' narrative has never been about one person being inherently good or evil. Rather, the environments you're exposed to and the decisions you make shape you into who you are. We see this demonstrated in many characters such as Huey, someone who was abandoned by their mother and because of that developed strong attachments to people, often choosing to see the best of them. Or Homelander, someone who's fabricated to become a symbol of hope, but due to the isolation and evil of Vought, chooses to lash out at the world with the same vitriol he was shown as a child. Nurturing choices has always been a huge theme of the story. However, there's another theme that I think many people have been missing the entire show. Something that was shoved into the audience's face this season that many don't accept because they didn't see it before. And that's that choices have major consequences, and cutting corners to achieve a desire will only bring you back 2 steps. In Season 1, the boys use blackmail, murder, scheming, and general debauchery in order to go after the Seven. Huey does this to satisfy his need for revenge due to what happened to Robin, and Butcher for Becca, who he believes to have been raped and murdered by Homelander. While it's understandable as to why they want what they want, their actions are abhorrent, and at the end of the season, they are outed as fugitives and sought after by both the Seven, law enforcement, and Vought, who is now involved with the military. The boys lost, and they can only blame themselves for being put in this position. In Season 2, the boys have to deal with the consequences of their actions from the previous season. Butcher learns that Becca is alive and that she has a son because of Homelander's assault on her. She is now trapped by Homelander's will due to him finding out about her and Ryan because of Butcher stirring up the pot. Huey almost killed his new relationship with Starlight for revenge, and he is estranged from his father. Same thing for the rest of the boys like Mother's Milk. So, in order to ensure their survival, they have to prove to the world that Vought is an evil company responsible for numerous crimes. Thus, a mad dash begins in order to prove this. For the most part, they don't cut any corners, and the choices they make are the correct ones for the situations that they're in. However, once Butcher is offered to be let off with no repercussions except for kidnapping Ryan and leaving him for Vought, Butcher once again cuts a corner and accepts the offer, knowing that Becca would never accept the plan. There's another character who does something similar in Season 2, and that's...
What happens if, I don't know, I do this?
After murdering Stillwell in the Season 1 finale, he's actively trying to take care of his own life without all the lies and manipulation from Stillwell. However, Homelander is still cutting corners, replacing his need for acceptance and affection from Stillwell to Ryan, and he still is codependent on Vought. We see him spiral out of control due to this, and he seemingly loses his relationship with Ryan and is losing the trust and love of the people, 2 things that matter greatly to Homelander. However, Stormfront offers him a way to get his life back under control and offer him the love and affection that he wants. The only issue is that he would then have to accept her Nazi ideology. But Homelander makes the choice to accept it for his own selfish desire and needs, which we then see the consequences of in the season finale. As he loses in such a hard way, he would probably laugh and laser you if you told him so prior to it happening. Homelander's acceptance of Nazi propaganda, something that's truly evil, in order for him to cut corners for his ego, is why he loses in the season 2 finale. Becca is also dead. However, she also cut a corner in a way by not being honest with Ryan in who and what he truly is. Her consequence is her death. But for the rest of the boys, they are still alive and well, and it seems like they finally have some semblance of control. Well, not really. This finally leads us into Season 3, where it's revealed that Victoria Newman, the person who runs the Soup Supervision Program, is a Soup herself and a secret agent for Vought. Once they find this out, Huey and Butcher especially are enraged and seek out to destroy Vought and Homelander by any means necessary. Queen Maeve gives Butcher information about a super weapon which seemingly killed Soldier Boy and could do the same to Homelander. She also offers him Temp V, something that grants a person powers for a limited amount of time. They go to Russia to find the weapon, where guess what? They end up fighting Soldier Boy, who is stronger than ever and just so happens to have a power which can depower and kill any soup it touches. And if you guessed it, then yes, Soldier Boy and the Temp V are the physical representations of what cutting corners and a person's actions having consequences are in the story. We then learn later on that Soldier Boy is Homelander's father, and that the Temp V will kill Huey and Butcher if they keep taking it. Two major consequences for their by any means necessary mentality, as they aren't just doing it for righteous reasons at this point. Butcher is even more bloodthirsty and revenge-filled than before, and Huey has developed an inferiority complex to Starlight. Butcher even makes the horrendously terrible choice of blackwalling Ryan out of his life due to his depression over losing Becca. This is due to his feeling of being powerless, accepting that he can't be the fatherly figure Ryan needs, and more importantly, his bigotry over soups in general. However, there are a few characters who don't cut corners and sacrifice their morals for their needs, such as Starlight, Mother's Milk, and you guessed it,
Yummers.
This might be a hot take, but I believe Homelander is the main protagonist of this season. Yes, he's a bad person, but you don't have to be good to be the protagonist. You just have to be the person who drives the story forward and go through many growths and changes. Homelander checks all of these boxes, especially for this season. Bear with me here. But if you look at it in a different way, a surely fucked up way, Vought, the boys, and Soldier Boy act as the main antagonistic forces of this season. And as I mentioned before, Homelander is also the one that stays truest to himself in this season and doesn't cut any corners. We see this first when he tells the public about his true beliefs between himself and them, telling him that he's the true hero and that they need him. While Homelander thinks that he has forever ruined his image, he is shocked to find out that his truth and transparency to the public causes them to love him even more. He then takes the next step in removing Stan Edgar from Vought, so he can control it for himself. This is a big one, as for his entire life, he's relied on Vought for everything, and now he has to create and control his own narrative instead of relying on others, unlike the boys. The next thing he does is massive. He puts aside his feelings of Ryan choosing Butcher over him and killing Stormfront and accepts and promises unconditional love from him. Homelander, for perhaps the first time, puts aside his own ego in order to be there for his son. He gives Ryan the empathy and acceptance he needs, and of course, Ryan reciprocates. On an off note, I don't get why people are mad about Ryan choosing Homelander. If Butcher would have put aside his ego and hate, this never would have happened. Anyway, Homelander, after learning that Black Noir knew of his heritage, proceeds to murder him, ridding himself of the last of his codependency from Vought. While many are disappointed by Noir's death, and I can understand why to an extent, we also have to consider that it fits narratively, considering how all the bullying and torment he was subjected to by Soldier Boy he let happen later on as he supported Homelander doing the exact same thing to the other members of the Seven and, just people in general. so it makes sense he would die at the hands of the monster that he helped create. Remember, Noir is not a good person. It was pretty much Vought's guinea pig since day one. Anyway, continuing on with Homelander's story, he does make one mistake, and that's seeking out a relationship with Soldier Boy. While obviously most people in his shoes would have done the same thing, the wheels of parental codependency, like with Edgar, Stillwell, and Stormfront, were starting to return once he found out Soldier Boy was his father. However, Soldier Boy, who has severe daddy issues on his own, mind you, rejects his son, peddling the same toxic ideals of masculinity his father brought on him. Perhaps if Soldier Boy would have put aside his own ego and pride like Homelander did with Ryan and really took the time to know his son instead of condemning him, he wouldn't have been in prison again like he was by his former team. Many see Soldier Boy as a man of his word and a good guy of the situation, but we have to consider that he was willing to allow hundreds of innocents, a child, and pretty much anyone else to be murdered. Again, it's not as if Soldier Boy is doing this for any righteous reason. Even when Butcher stops him because he doesn't want Ryan to be hurt or killed by the blast, Soldier Boy doesn't care, and thus Butcher finally understands that his by any means necessary mentality he's had has led to a broken promise he gave to his wife. But by then it's too late, and Butcher has lost Ryan to Homelander, and now he only has a year left to live due to the ramifications of the 10th fee. With Homelander having gotten Newman into a VP candidate position, his supporters accepting murder, and the boys being sent back to square one, it is very clear that he has won the moral standing of the season and has come out on top. And I, for one, can't wait to see what direction they'll go in season 4.
I get called into Vogelbaum's lab for an experiment, some shit about genetics. I still remember the penthouse I used. June. Danielle Deneau. Bush like a Pomeranian.
What?
I beat my meat into a cup.
Yummers.